Before we begin, there are a few things I need to make sure you understand. You see, no one can change what happened last year. The past is beyond our control. You have to accept this in order to move forward. But there is freedom in this revelation. Everything you do, every decision you make from now on will open doors to the future. I want you to remember this. I want you to remember this as you play your game. Every single choice will affect your fate and the fate of those around you. So, you have committed to commence with this game. This is significant, and I want to help you see it through. Sometimes these things can be a little scary, even terrifying, but I'm here to make sure that no matter how upsetting things may get, you will always find a way to work through it.
Hey, so what is going on, everyone? It is me, Mr. Mario, and today I'm going to be bringing you a review of Until Dawn for the PlayStation 4. Now, these are going to be my own thoughts and opinions on the game, and really if I think the game is worth purchasing or anything like that. So, in case you don't know, Until Dawn is the first game of its kind on PlayStation 4. Now, I'm not saying it's the first game ever like this, but it's a lot like the other games that I call, kind of movie games. Now, yes, most people think of movie games as a game based off of film. No, that is a thing, but to me, when I call this a movie game, it's more of an interactive movie where it really just feels like a movie that you're helping to control and guide along, and you're given the reins behind it. And I love these kind of games. Two games that are like this, that are by Quantic Dream, that are very well known, are Heavy Rain, which actually made me purchase a PlayStation 3 for a game, and Beyond Two Souls, which is also another Quantic Dream game. A lot of people actually thought that this game was created by Quantic Dream, but no, it's not. It's in the same style as their games, but it is not made by the same people that did Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls, or even the same studio. So with that, does it match up to that caliber? Well, let's go ahead and get into it. So first of all, the story when it comes right down to it. It pretty much takes place up on a mountain. It takes place over the course of one night, and there are 10 chapters where each chapter represents 1 hour in the game. Now, the game itself does not take 10 hours. I think I didn't actually watch it, but there was a timestamp I saw where I think a person finished it in about 6 or 7 hours, so the chapters definitely take a lot less time than an hour each, but I feel like they all progress very well. So it's about a group of friends where they go up there one night, and this is in the middle of the action. They throw you into the game. Essentially, there are 2 sisters that end up getting murdered or killed. Whatever happens, nobody really knows exactly. And then 1 year later, all these friends decide to get back up there with Josh. His family owns the place, and it was his sisters that had died the previous year before. So they're trying to go up there and just have a good time because it's kind of their yearly thing that they do. Well, what ends up happening? Do they have a good time? Well, kind of depends on what your opinion of a good time is. I don't really want to get too further into the story itself, as I think you all, if you want to play it or watch it, should experience that on your own. But when it comes down to the story itself, I have to say, although I'm not talking about, the content-wise of it, but I have to say with this, if this was a film, if this was an actual movie that you would see in theaters, I don't think it would do very well. I don't think it would have a very good reception. I think it would be a okay to meh movie, honestly. But the reason why I think it did so well in this game format is because, first off, nobody wants to see a 6 or 7 hour movie, okay? Let's just be honest. Nobody really wants to see that. Nobody wants to sit in a theater and do that. And second, it's interactive. It allows you to control what you're doing. So the depth that they put into it, because they really don't have a time limit, and the fact that you can control it makes this a lot more of a fun, interactive experience. Now, I had actually heard of some people who were criticizing the game. They were saying, you know, it seems really cringeworthy and all that, you know, how the voice acting is or anything like that.
You guys gonna make out now?
Oh my god, totally. We're so gonna make out. No, seriously, I'm gonna go check on the cable car back down the trip.
All right. See you, man.
See ya. All right. See ya.
I didn't really think so. I mean, yeah, I felt like there were some things that were shoehorned in there. Like, at one point, I mean, they do have some references, like at one point where I believe it is Jess who's talking to, what was his name, Chris, and, you know, he's looking down at his phone. She's like, what are you tweeting or what? You're not looking. You know, just stuff like that. They try and put it into typical high schooler horror movie-ish fashion, but I didn't really see it as cringeworthy. However, it's definitely not the best story you're going to get out of a game for sure. Now, the way the game works as well, too, is that for the actual controls, you could either go all controller, well, like all buttons and everything, or you can go motion controls. Now, I personally prefer the motion controls. I'm not saying they're good. They're okay. Sometimes you barely have to do anything to trigger off a motion control, which is good and bad. It's good because it makes you lazy when playing the game, but it's also bad because there are actually some times where you are required to not move. It shows you on screen, don't move, and just the tiniest little slip up, like you could barely be moving, and then you fail that check right there. But with that as well, there are also some parts in the game. I believe I've detected 2 parts in the game, minimum 1 for sure, where on purpose they will make the thing mess up and they will trick you so that you fail the thing. With it all as well too, I like how they do break out of the fourth wall and they just kind of, you know, break through it in here, just because there is a counselor in there who, you know, he's trying to psychologically profile you. He tries to find out what characters in the game you like, what you don't like, what your fears are, anything like that, and then they try and fine-tune the game to those references and everything. And if you tell him one thing and then you go off another thing, he starts getting mad at you. And it seems kind of normal. You don't really know what's going on, but I guess the best way to say it is the deeper you get into the game, the more fucked up these parts become, and that's kind of how the rest of the game is as well.
I'm trying to help you. And this game you're playing, you understand that it's not good for you. It's not good for anyone. And I can't say that you're showing much loyalty in the way you're playing.
Now, since it is a horror game, is it that scary? Honestly, I have a pretty high horror level tolerance, so you got to keep that in mind, but I didn't think it was that scary. I really didn't. This game does rely on jump scares that, frankly, they might make you jump, but they're not genuine scares. For me, at least, true horror should not rely on jump scares. But aside from that, you know, I was able to go through the game with no issues. It's not like, I mean, I was playing it with the lights off right before bed almost every night I was playing it. I didn't have nightmares or anything like that. It wasn't making me scream or anything. It was really jump scares. But aside from that, you know, it's a decent horror movie that you might want to watch. The thing I like about this as well, too, is just because it is the interactive movie type thing. It is single player, but it's a great game to play in a group of friends with your girlfriend, significant other, anything like that, or even if you just want to play it alone. I mean, it's really good for almost any other setting. In fact, I'm actually trying to assemble a group of my friends right now for a group playthrough of this game because I feel like it'd be very fun. It's just a nice, fun game where you all can probably, you know, the people who aren't playing are just going to be watching it and then they can chime in, you know, with feedback or anything like that. It's one of those games that is really very beneficial when it comes to situations like that. Now, what about the game itself? Well, I'll definitely say this. The game is dark. Like, not like content-wise, like it's a really dark game or anything. It's like, no, it is literally a dark game. I mean, look at the footage here. It's really dark. Another kind of complaint I have, I guess, here is the game itself, the way it plays. It definitely looks good. I was impressed with the graphics. I actually didn't experience any glitches while playing through the game, which is very surprising. But at the same time, I have to say this. First off, the game runs at about 30 frames a second. That's going to upset people. I've said this before. If the game is good and, you know, if it fits, I don't mind the 30 frames a second. The Order 1886 was 30 frames a second. South Park: The Stick of Truth, that was 30 frames a second. The problem with this game is that it's not locked at 30 frames a second. And especially if it's a movie like this, you know, I want it to look smooth. Because I'll say this for sure. Yes, the Order 1886 had that weird messed up resolution, and it was only locked at 30 frames frames a second, but the order was smooth, and they were trying to go after a cinematic experience. And that's what they were trying to do here as well, too. They were trying to go after a cinematic experience, and I mean, there were frame drops and all that, even after the patch that I applied to it, because the patch came out this week, the first week it came out, there were still, you know, drops and everything like that. And one thing I have to say, though, I'll just throw this in. If you did pre-order the game, or if you get, I guess, like an extended copy or whatever it is, anything like that, there is some pre-order DLC that you can get. And man, this pissed me off because I got to the end of the game. I finished the end of the game and I said, okay, how do I play through the DLC now? Because I thought it'd be, you know, another chapter or an afterwards or anything like that. No. I looked it up, right? I checked my PS4. It said it was downloaded and installed, and I looked it up, and I found out the DLC is just some chatter, some cross-chat between Matt and Emily, his girlfriend at the time, Matt and Emily, that happens at the end of Chapter 2, and that's it. That's all it is. The DLC is essentially just conversations. Now, that pissed me off. I'll say that. First off, you know, you have this pre-order DLC, and there's just something just so minuscule like that. Now, granted, that might have also been my fault, because I didn't pre-order for the DLC. I pre-ordered because I did want to get the game day one, but I was expecting, you know, an extra chapter or something like that that I could play through before it was released to the public, but no. The DLC that's out right now for pre-order is, conversations. That's really all there is to it. Now, what about replayability of this game? I mean, I've covered the graphics, I've covered, you know, how it plays, you know, the controls, anything like that. I have to say, I'm actually going to be keeping this game. Reason being is that I do want to play through it. It has something called the butterfly effect system in there, where, you know, what you will do, where it can directly or indirectly impact who's going to live, who's going to die, what conversations will happen, and how people will die as well, too. Because, trust me, I legitimately don't really know how you could play this game without not killing anyone. I don't I don't know how you can play this game and get to the end with everyone alive. Now, if you could be doing that, that would be fantastic, but I kind of need to see a guide on that too, because I'd actually like to see if I could do that. Aside from that, I see myself replaying this game, and that's one reason why I am keeping it. I was going to rent it at first. The rental wasn't working, so I was kind of impatient. I bought the game, but I really don't have any regrets for it, honestly. I'm going to be keeping it on my shelf. Now, is this a game for everyone? No. Absolutely not. First off, if you don't like heavy storyline-driven games, don't get this game. Don't play it. Second, if you don't like the interactive movie type games, don't get this game, don't play it. Because if you didn't like those types of games or you don't like them, you're not going to like Until Dawn. Now, does it, you know, carry weight compared to Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls? I think, you know, it's a good kind of tribute to them, but no, I also think at the same time, Quantic Dream really has those games down. Now, for Supermassive Games, the people who did this game, I'm not saying anything bad about them. I actually think they did a fantastic job with this game. I thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end, and while, you know, the story's not anything to die for or anything like that, or it's not going to be a must-have or anything, I enjoyed it. It's something I enjoyed playing, I really liked it, and I do want to go back and play through it. And if there is DLC that comes out for this game, I'm probably going to pick it up, although I'm not really sure how the DLC is going to integrate within the game itself, but there's also replayability when it comes to, you know, collectibles, or there's a totem system in there as well, too. There's, as I said, a lot of collectibles that you can pick up that are related to the story that will lead to other unlocks. There's a totem system where when you're walking around, there's a bunch of different totem pieces that you can pick up, and there's like a lost totem, a death totem, some other ones that might or might not be possible things. Well, they are things that can possibly happen in the future, but if they do happen, is totally up to you. So you get these kind of premonitions, but it's really how you play the game itself. At the end of the day, I have to say, I actually really enjoyed this game. I couldn't wait to finish it. Not because I hated the game and just wanted to burn through it, but because I really wanted to see what was happening. And I've noticed, you know, from lightly skimming and reading headlines from other people and all that, they've said, I haven't finished the game, but for some reason, I keep playing it. I want to finish it. I mean, the game is okay, but I want to finish it. I want to continue playing it because something is drawing me in. And that's kind of how I felt as well, because I love games with a good storyline, and I love me some interactive movie games. So I have to say, I can't wait until Quantic Dream releases a game like Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls on the PS4. It would be nice to see that, but, you know, Supermassive, hey, I think they did an excellent job with this title here, you know, in the interactive movie realm. Now, for the game itself, I think it's a good to okay game. I don't think everyone's going to enjoy it, and I know a lot of people, if you're a person who's a one-and-done person, you don't really want to replay the game or try, you know, different things or anything like that, rent it. I would say that rent it, give it a try, borrow it, anything like that. For me, as somebody who likes those games, I own Beyond Two Souls, I own Heavy Rain. I'm going to continue owning this game as well too. So, you know, if you all enjoyed this review, let me know. Let me know if there's anything I need to cover in depth more or anything like that. But those are kind of my off the dome thoughts and everything related to this game. Overall, as I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would recommend it if you like these games. So if you like it, I definitely recommend it. If you could get it for a discounted price, that would be cool too, like 30, 40 bucks, something like that. Because I felt like 60 was a little steep for this game, but hey, you know what? It's all good. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone.